I want to start today by taking you back, way back to the 17th century,
Bro.
specifically to the court of King Louis XIV of France. Now, we all know him as the Sun King, right? The guy who built Versailles.
An absolute spectacle. Man.
But he was also apparently obsessed with fragrance. And I don't just mean, he liked a bit of cologne.
No, this was on another level.
He demanded fresh flowers in every single room. He had the furniture sprayed. The fountains were perfumed. He even had visitors.
Doused in scent. Yeah, before they were allowed to enter his presence.
Exactly. And, historians usually just write this off as a hygiene thing. People didn't bathe, so you cover up the stench.
Right.
Plausible.
But looking at the research we have today, you have to wonder, was he just masking bad smells? Or did he, intuitively get that scent? Is a kind of power play.
It's the question that launches a billion-dollar industry. Because we're not that different today. We spend a fortune on deodorants to scrub away our natural smell.
And then even more on perfumes to layer a fake one on top. We are constantly curating our own olfactory brand.
But here's the problem, and this is really the mission for this deep dive. By scrubbing all that away, are we deleting the very data that helps us find love? So today, we're unpacking the science of scent and attraction. We're going to find out if human pheromones are actually real, and we're going to ask a really uncomfortable question. Are our noses better matchmakers than our eyes?
And we have a fantastic stack of sources for this. We're looking at research on immunogenetics, interviews with olfaction psychologists, people like Dr. Mehmet Mahmoud and Agnieszka Sorakowska.
Yeah.
And some truly bizarre reports on smell dating.
Which we will absolutely get to, and I apologize in advance for the mental imagery, but let's start with the stuff I see all over social media. Pheromones.
Ah, yes, the promise of a magic potion.
Seriously, you've got these brands like Pure Instinct or Eye of Love, and they basically promise that if you just roll this oil on your neck, you become irresistible.
Love at first sight, or I guess love at first sniff.
And the anecdotes are amazing. They claim bartenders get better tips, valet parkers get more cash.
Right, real estate agents close more deals. One of the brand VPs literally said, it's not a magic potion. Well, actually, your husband might come running.
It sounds fantastic, but does the science actually back any of this up?
Well, this is where we have to be the buzzkill. If you ask a biologist what a pheromone is, they're not talking about perfume. They're talking about, insects or rodents.
Okay.
In the animal kingdom, a pheromone isn't just a nice smell. It is a chemical command. It's like a remote control.
So like a moth flying into a flame, it literally has no choice.
Precisely. You release a chemical, the other animal must react. It's a hardwired behavioral response. It's robotic.
But for humans?
For humans, the consensus, and we're quoting Richard Doty here, who wrote The Great Pheromone Myth, is that we just don't work that way. We don't have that remote controlled switch.
So if I buy this spray, I'm not actually hacking anyone's brain.
Highly, highly unlikely. But what's fascinating is the distinction between a pheromone and just an alluring scent. A lot of these sprays use things like vanilla or jasmine.
Things that smell good.
Exactly. They smell great. They might trigger a memory, make someone feel cozy, but that's psychology, not biology.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate. If I spray this stuff on and I believe I smell irresistible, I'm going to walk differently. I'll have more swagger.
That's the placebo effect, and it is incredibly powerful. The sources all mention this. Wearing these fragrances boosts your own confidence. You feel sexier, so you act more confident. And confidence itself is genuinely attractive.
So in a roundabout way, it works, but not because of the chemicals in the bottle.
Exactly. It works because of the change in your behavior.
Okay, so the magic spray is mostly marketing and mindset, but that doesn't mean our body odor is meaningless. This is where the research took a really interesting turn.
This is where it gets real.
There is a biological signal hidden in our sweat. It's not a pheromone. It's something called HLA.
Human leukocyte antigen.
Which sounds like something I need a prescription for.
It does sound clinical, I know, but it's fundamental to your survival. HLA is basically the code for your immune system. It helps your body identify what cells are you and what cells are invaders.
So it's my internal security system?
Think of it like a specialized security team. Let's say your security team is trained only in karate. That's your HLA profile. You're really good at fighting off karate-style attacks.
Okay, and this leads us to the famous sweaty t-shirt study.
The classic.
This is the one that always comes up at dinner parties if you want to ruin everyone's appetite.
It is a classic for a reason. So, the setup. Researchers wanted to know if this immune code, this HLA, had a smell, so they recruited a bunch of men.
And the protocol for these guys was intense, right? It wasn't just don't shower.
Oh, no, it was no deodorant, no cologne, no spicy foods, no garlic, no smoking. Some even forbid sleeping in the same bed as another person. They wanted zero cross-contamination.
Just pure, unadulterated man sweat. I feel so bad for the research assistants.
It gets worse. They put these shirts in bags and then ask women to smell them and rank them by pleasantness and sexiness.
Now, my logic says sweat is gross, so you'd think the women would just pick the least smelly ones as the best.
You would think so, but that is not what happened at all. The results were so consistent. Women preferred the smell of men who had dissimilar HLA profiles to their own.
Wait, so back to the security analogy. If my team knows karate,
You want to date the guy whose security team knows jiu-jitsu.
because then our kids get a security team that knows both.
Precisely. It's about genetic diversity.
Yeah.
If you mate with someone who has a different immune system, your kids get a wider shield against diseases. It's a biological shortcut to avoid inbreeding and ensure survival.
That is wild. So my nose is basically doing a full genetic screening test, processing complex immunogenetics, and all I register is, he smells kind of nice.
It's completely subconscious. One of the experts, Agnieszka Sorokowska, she explains we don't even know the exact chemical mechanism. It's likely that HLA genes produce substances that are digested by bacteria on our skin.
And that digestion creates the smell, our unique odor signature.
Exactly. We're broadcasting our immune system status every time we sweat.
But here's the conflict, right? I'm on Tinder, I'm on Hinge, I can see their abs, I can see they like hiking, but I can't smell their HLA.
And that is the modern tragedy.
So do we actually use this information? When you look at thousands of married couples, are they genetically dissimilar? Did they pass the sniff test?
This is where the data breaks your heart a little bit. You would hope the answer is yes. But a huge study of 3,700 married couples found the answer was no.
Really?
People were not more likely to end up with an HLA dissimilar partner than by pure random chance.
So we have this evolutionary superpower, this ancient radar to find the healthiest match, and we just ignore it.
We ignore it because we're prioritizing other things, social status, money, looks. We're making decisions with our eyes and our brains, and we're just completely overruling our noses.
But does that have a cost? I mean, if I marry the karate guy and I'm also karate, are we doomed?
Doomed is a strong word. But there's a correlation with the quality of the relationship. Sorokowska points out that while we don't choose partners based on smell, it really affects the relationship once you're in it.
How so?
Sexual satisfaction. Couples who just happen to have that high HLA dissimilarity, the good match, they reported the highest levels of sexual satisfaction, the highest desire for children.
And if you match with someone who smells similar.
The inverse was true. Women partnered with HLA. Similar men reported way more sexual dissatisfaction.
Wow. So you might love the guy, he might check every box on the app, but if your immune systems are too similar, that biological spark just isn't there.
It influences what the researchers call sexual well-being. Your body might be subtly, rejecting the match.
This brings up another layer too. It's not just genetics, it's hormones. I saw that men can supposedly smell fertility. That sounds like a stretch.
It sounds like magic,
Yeah.
but the data's there. Men find women's body odor more attractive when she's in the follicular phase of her cycle, basically, when she's ovulating.
And least attractive during her period.
Right. So men are, to some extent, subliminally tracking the cycle. And it goes the other way, too, with testosterone.
This was Dr. Mahmoud's research on single versus married men.
Yes. He found that single men generally smelled stronger, more intense than married men. And the theory is that high testosterone correlates with stronger BO.
Okay, so the bad boy smell is real.
In a way. But here's the kicker. Married men, and especially fathers, tend to have lower testosterone levels.
Wait, really? Just from getting married?
It's a well-documented biological shift. When a man settles down, his testosterone often drops. It's like a biological signal that he's taken or in dad mode.
He's not on the hunt anymore.
So the single guys literally smell stronger, more aggressive, biologically speaking.
That is incredible. But I have to stop you on one point from the research because my skepticism meter went through the roof.
I think I know which one you mean.
The meat eater study.
Yeah.
We always think clean eating makes you smell better. You hear about the meat sweats, right? But Dr. Mahmoud found something else.
He did. And it's super counterintuitive. In some of his studies, high meat consumption was actually associated with a more pleasant body odor.
I don't buy it. I've sat next to people after a steak dinner. It's not a bouquet of roses.
I know it contradicts everything we think, but think about it evolutionarily. In the past, who had access to lots of meat.
The successful hunters, the providers.
Exactly. So high protein might signal health, success, abundance. So while it's stronger, the biological signal being received is, this is a healthy mate. But I should say other studies contradict this. It's a very contentious area.
Okay, jury is out on the steak dinner, but let's go back to this conflict between the eye and the nose, because people have actually tried to solve this.
The smell dating experiments.
This sounds like a horror movie plot.
It was an art project turned social experiment. Simple concept. 100 people wear a T-shirt for 3 days and 3 nights.
3 days. Without deodorant.
Without deodorant. You sleep in it, you go to work in it, you work out in it.
Just imagine the smell.
One participant, a journalist, said she felt pickled in her own essence. She said by day 3, she felt like a walking biohazard.
Pickled. Oh, that's visceral. So she sends this toxic swatch in the mail.
And she gets swatches back from other strangers. And here's the surprise. She actually found some she liked. She described one as smelling like sweet laundry detergent.
So, success. The nose knows.
Well, no. Because when she matched with the people whose smell she liked, they sent her their photos.
Oh, no.
And immediately the visual bias kicked in. She didn't like how they looked. The spell of the scent was just broken. She couldn't reconcile the safe, sweet smell with a face that just wasn't her type.
That is so tragic. We are literally blinding ourselves with our eyes. We find the perfect biological match and then swipe left because he's wearing a weird hat in his profile picture.
And we override it at our peril because our nose things our eyes don't. There's a study where they tested if people could smell personality traits, specifically neuroticism.
You can smell crazy.
Humans are surprisingly good at smelling. If someone is highly neurotic just from their BO, we're actually more accurate with our noses than from looking at a photo.
But what happens if you have both, the smell and the photo?
You get confused. When people had both the smell and the visual, their accuracy went down. The visual information distorted the accurate data from their nose. Your eyes literally lie to you.
That's terrifying. It makes you want to go on, actually blind dates.
It would probably lead to better genetic matches.
Now, before we wrap, there's one more researcher we have to mention, because he twists this in a way I found really helpful. Noam Sobel.
Right. So far, we've talked about how you smell to me. But Sobel looked at something he calls the olfactory fingerprint.
Which is different from the T-shirt smell.
Completely different. This isn't your BO. This is your hardware. We all have millions of olfactory receptors, but the genetic distribution is slightly unique for everyone. So I might smell a rose and think, lovely, and you might smell the same rose and think it's soapy.
So we're experiencing a different reality.
Exactly. And he found a frighteningly strong correlation. Couples who smell the world the same way, who perceive smells similarly, tend to stay together.
Couples that smell together stay together.
It makes sense. If you walk into a room and think it smells like mold and your partner thinks it's fine, that's a fundamental disconnect.
He even started a social network called Smell Space to match people based on this, right?
He has.
Yeah.
It matches you based on your perception. Forget your height. Tell me how you rate the smell of peanut butter.
It sounds funny, but after all this, it feels like deeper data than what movies I like.
It's a biological compatibility.
So let's bring this all home. We've busted the pheromone myth. We know immune compatibility is real. But we also know our eyes are kind of bullying our noses.
I think the big takeaway is that we are biological creatures first. We have spent thousands of years trying to mask our scent. We scrub it off, cover it up. But that scent is a broadcast.
A 24/7 radio station broadcasting your genetics.
Your health, your diet, your testosterone levels, your compatibility for children. And paying attention to it might explain that spark. Or the lack of one.
It really makes you rethink that first kiss. You know, when you lean in and get that first real whiff of someone, if it feels off, maybe it's your immune system waving a giant red flag.
Or if it feels incredibly right, it might be your DNA saying, this is the one. We can make super healthy babies with this person.
We rely so heavily on apps now. We swipe, we filter, we judge based on pixels. But I want to leave you with a provocative thought based on this deep dive.
Let's hear it.
If we keep choosing partners solely based on what we see on the screen, and we completely bypass this sniff test that evolution spent millions of years building, are we accidentally breeding out our own biological resistance to disease?
That's a heavy question. If we stop selecting for immune diversity because we're too busy selecting for good jawlines on Tinder, we might be making future generations more vulnerable.
Maybe it's time to put down the phone and follow your nose.